August 12th, the solar eclipse in Leo. This is where our moon is going to be covering up part of the sun, which, if you are in areas of the world like Iceland or Spain, that area will see everything go dark. Here in the United States, we get to deal with the repercussions. And other places in the world, while we don't get to see the glorious moment happen, we are going to feel the shadows revealed. And it's going to be extreme. So, are you ready to discover what this eclipse means for you in your life and what shadows are coming to the surface and how you can prepare for the extreme reactions some people are already having? Believe me, it's intense, but I am going to give you all the tools because I'm tapping on 30 years of tarot experience in addition to my 2 years of solidly 100% of my time have been spent studying true sidereal astrology so I can bring this wisdom to you. So let's get started. My name is Beth Hanson. I'm a true sidereal astrologist and tarotist and mystic and dreamer, and honestly, astro witch. So if that sounds like your vibe, just comment below or give me a thumbs up if all that is your vibe. We're going to face this together with fun and excitement because there is great beauty and great sovereignty that is going to be available to you during this time. So, the first thing I'm going to show you up here, other than that map where everything is happening, but the actual stars. Yes, the stars above that show the placement of everything that's happening in the sky. So, this is the big overview. And I want you to know that we're going to go step by step with all of the excitement and all of the Leo energy that's happening and where it's touching in other signs, other constellation connections here on this day on August 12th. So let's look at that. We're going to start with our first chart. Now, this here, it shows the moon conjunct the sun at 5 degrees of Leo. And as you can see here in this chart, not all the signs are the same size. And I use what's called whole sign houses. And whole sign houses just means that all the energy of a particular sign is, which is my shorthand for constellation, is aligned with an area of life based on the numerology and the placement of the horizon, because the horizon is very important, because where that AS is on the left hand of the chart, that's the ascendant sign. And in this case, now pay attention to this, the ascendant, if somebody is born on the eclipse, their ascendant is going to be conjunct their part of fortune at 33 degrees of Virgo. Keep that in mind. And as you can see in the center, there's lots going on, lots of triangles, lots of squares, and a good amount of X marks the spot type of oppositions that go through the center. And who's at the center? You, me, Mother Earth, everybody on this planet. That is at the center. So as we look at this Leo energy, Leo is fire, the moon in Leo, and 5 degrees is the call to freedom. This is you feeling safe enough to go out on your own and express yourself. The other thing I want you to notice is that little upside down horseshoe there. That is the south node, also known as K2. And that is right smack dab on the star Regulus. This is one of the royal stars of Persia, also known as an archangel star, and this is Raphael, and this means healing. It also means royalty. everything that's happening today has to do with the shadow. So we have this shadow having to do with leadership showing up. And that means secrets are going to be coming out. I know they've been coming out for a long time, but this is going to be extra. Just as this is a time for planting new seeds of sovereignty and leadership in your own life and in your communities. And this isn't just for the next 14 days, all those are going to be key for nourishing this energy and starting to see it sprout when we have our lunar eclipse later this month. So I want you to know that I've got you covered here because I have what's called a True Sidereal Starter Guide, also known as Unlock the New Zodiac, and that is in the description below. But really, the information I'm putting into this video is really full. And so I am going to go through everything as quickly as possible. But at the end, you know what's going to happen at the end? Before I even get into the tarot, I am going to share with you the little quick start hack, because as you look at all this spaghetti of what are called the aspects, and these are just the angles and relationships of the planets to one another, but that has resonance. That has energy to it. How things connect actually do show up on the physical plane, especially when it comes to conjunctions like the sun and the moon, and squares and oppositions. Those are the ones that really show up in shifting the vibration of a physical resonance of the vibrations that those planets are creating in the universe and vibrating at. It's a frequency, babe. So get on the frequency. Now let's look at the next piece of the puzzle here. I'm going bit by bit to break this down for you. So the next piece of the puzzle is what angles in particular are the sun and moon making together? So, with that sense of freedom, with that sense of exploration and excitement and the willingness to look beyond, we have big flow going to and from Saturn in Pisces and going to and from Vesta in Pisces. So, Saturn, you probably know about. He's the guy with the rings right after Jupiter there at what was the boundary of the visible sky until, well, fairly recently and Saturn is visible in the sky if you look up at the night sky with your bare eyes. You don't even need a binocular in most cases, depending on, where you are in the world, how much pollution there is, how much light pollution. That's what we call it when there's so many lights you can't see the stars, okay? Big cities have a big problem with that. That's why got to get out into the country like me. Anywho, so Saturn is about responsibility, but both of these are in Pisces, which is about the depth and spirituality. So this is saying, hey, whatever shadow is coming up from Leo, we are going to address it by doing the work of our spiritual selves and examining, taking the exam of how we can move forward as responsible spiritual beings here on Mother Earth. Because Vesta is there to say, I am virtuous, I am dedicated, and I am dedicated to the goddess Vesta, the goddess of the hearth fire. And they were known as the Vestal Virgins. They were unmarried women. We're not talking about goddess of the hearthfire is not wifey. Goddess of the hearthfire is sovereign in her own home, and she guards and guides through the spirit and the magical act of keeping the hearthfire going in the home, keeping the fire of spirit alive in the home. It is a priestess state. So we have priestess energy and we have Saturn with instructions and guidance on how to build a framework based on spirit. So we have fire and earth and water with those when we've got fire and water in fire in Leo. So Pisces is water, Leo is fire, and is ruled by the sun. Okay, and I do want to throw out an honorable mention to the North Node Rahu, which opposes Ketu. The North Node Rahu is in Aquarius, and that is also in opposition to the Sun and Moon. Oppositions bring tension, oppositions bring opportunity for growth, of seeing where you are on the spectrum between the egalitarian Aquarian age and where you are personally in your sovereignty and how you want to lead and what is your part. Because Rahu is the Dharma, and this is the age of Aquarius. And while these nodes, these lunar nodes, which are basically anytime there's an eclipse, it's on or near the lunar nodes, which is why the next eclipse on the other half of this cycle is going to be an Aquarian lunar eclipse, okay? All of this is coming together. An honorable mention to that, but I do want you to pay attention that our nearest neighbor, which is Jupiter and Mercury in Cancer, a water sign, is in opposition to Pluto in Capricorn. So it's in opposition to Pluto in Capricorn, an earth sign. So we have big fire of Jupiter. And then the quick minded, the quick messages of Mercury in Cancer. Now, Cancer is ruled by the moon, and she just went through Cancer and checked in on Mercury and Jupiter before connecting to Sun. All right, so what we have going on here is this cauldron of Caradwin, of which Jupiter is a part. Okay, Jupiter is part of this formation, and I'll point that out a little bit later in this video. And actually, I'm going to do a full follow up on what's going to be happening on the 21st and 22nd between this eclipse of the sun and the eclipse of the moon at the end of the month. So that's going to be its own story that we don't have time to go into here, because you need to know what's happening in the here and now. And Pluto is the goddess of the underworld. Hello, the underworld, Hades, Pluto, and hell in the Norse tradition. So that's why I say goddess in an earth sign right there at the front of Capricorn, where he's the goat fish, and it's in the goat part, it's in the confrontational part of the I'm protecting my ground, and you got to confront me in order to go forward and to move forward into a more aligned space. And it's basically confronting the god of the underworld, saying, okay, if you were to die today, what are you bringing to the table to say you're going to get a good death, or you're going to get a death, in the case of hell, a death of straw, where you live in hell, versus being raised up by the Valkyries to live in Asgard, or also you can go with the Vanir and live in Freya's Hall instead. So that's the Norse thing. I'm half Finnish, half Norwegian. You can use other myths or stories or whatever you need to do to connect you to the vibrations and the energies of what's happening in the universe, whatever speaks to your soul, right? So all this is happening while shadows are being revealed. So it's all about authenticity and feelings, and people are going to be probably making a big deal out of things on an emotional level when they're communicating, because there's a lot of fear-based things that are going to come up anytime a shadow is opening doors, it's opening doors to what was hidden, what you wanted to keep hidden, what somebody else wanted to keep hidden. And sometimes they're just blurting things out of fear and not knowing the mechanics of the spirit, which is how we use our beautiful astrology in the true sky, is to know that the physical and the spiritual are one, and these mechanics of these physical bodies representing archetypes of our gods and goddesses as but we are getting messages from the universe, okay? This is also Jupiter and Mercury moving over and saying joining up in Pisces. Pisces has a big role to play here because trine Neptune, which is deep gnosis in spirituality and creativity. And then the other thing it's connecting to is Taurus, an earth sign, Uranus and Taurus. So these points are all part of Caradwin's cauldron with those three outer planets and Jupiter, which is sextile to Uranus and Taurus, which is Uranus and Taurus is shaking things up, asking what is real, what isn't, what can we make real out of nothing, out of what the outer reaches of the universe, the messages of the outer planets, of our most ancient ancestors and beyond since the creation of the universe. What messages are being shared for community? Because these outer planets have to do with the collective unconscious. And guess what? Is like, okay, we're just going to open up all your dreams right now and see what those messages are. And you need to ground them on Mother Earth, which is at the center of everything and in your heart. And the moon is your heart connection to the vibrations and the electrical magnetic field of Mother Earth. And that's how you manage the energy that's happening here. I've been a Reiki master since 2008. I also studied pranic healing 1 and 2, and I have been a witch for over 20 years, working with magic through different means in groups, in solitary, whatever it is. And as a high priestess, channeling things from the universe, that also is energy. And we're learning more and more and more and more about what consciousness is. It's not in the brain, it's a collective. Okay. And you have access to all of that, and it's coming up, and it's gonna maybe bring up some pretty strong emotions on this day for you. So I'm here for you, and our group is here for you in Zodiac Club 13. Every seeker begins under the same sky. The call of the stars whispering through the branches of night. You follow the light deeper into the forest of the unseen, and there a guide appears. A golden invitation. Your entry to Zodiac Club 13, the secret celestial lounge, where the night hums with magic, candles flicker, stars shimmer, and your place is waiting. Welcome to the party, where mystics, dreamers, and star lovers gather to celebrate the real sky. Inside, visionaries study the cosmos, hands trace constellations as they truly are, and weave their stories through the cards of destiny. Here, wisdom flows like starlight, every spark a new awakening. You found your circle. Zodiac Club 13, the Midnight Lounge for seekers of the real sky, filled with 13 signs and timeless magic. And I'll put a little link to that down below too. We're going to move on from these really positive creative stuff that with that flow, with that trine, that means we have a lot of energy flowing and it goes both ways. And that creativity that's coming in, that is what sextiles do. So let's move on and look at what the next chart has to say. Okay, we got 3 down, we've got a few more to go. So the other thing, look at Venus. Now she is really making her move there. She is representing for her space and as she journeys through the largest constellation on the zodiac, the mother of the zodiac is Virgo. We're not talking about picky maidens who just are perfectionists and like their towels folded just so. We are talking about the great organizer, the great mother, the one who makes sure everybody gets what they need and they're getting the food you eat and everything you need is And Venus, with her beautiful creativity, she is a goddess of creativity, of love and lust and passion, and also of creating the best life, of being all the elements rolled into one with spirit above because of her relationship with the sun, from our point of view, forms that five-pointed star that witches like me use. So what we have here is a triangle, that symbol of God and goddess. Pointing up, it's the symbol of God. Pointing down, it's the symbol of goddess. And in the northern hemisphere at this time, that is sort of how it's pointing. And who is she trined in with? We're talking grand earth trine. So this is Mother Earth stuff. Earth is at the center of this huge flow of energy from this very personal planet that is closer to the sun than we are, and the two outer planets of Uranus in Taurus and Pluto in Capricorn, respectively, in their earth signs. So she is an earth energy, Uranus is an air energy, and Pluto is a fire energy. So everything comes down to those energetics again, and each has its own signature. And those outer gurus are flowing hard to help create something positive here on Mother Earth at this time. Think of this. This is the garden in which the seed of this eclipse is being planted. This is your bed. This is everything because it is Earth. This is a grand Earth trine, and it's being addressed with the warmth. It's being addressed with the thoughtfulness and the energy from the outer universe, saying, we don't know what the seed is going to come up and look like. We might think we're planting one kind of seed, but a different kind of seed is going to shoot up. Let the universe surprise you and just roll with it. All right, so next we are going to look at, this is what I'm calling Caradwin's Cauldron, everything and going from left to right as you look at this chart. That is Caradwin's Cauldron, okay? And that is the energy of transformation, of creation. Venus in Virgo, adding that magic in Pisces, adding that in, adding that earth, creative, goddess, attraction energy, saying, hey, what we're putting in here is pulling in the law of resonance, attraction, creation. And we are also connecting to create with Cancer. So, and fire meets fire, and then earth meets water. So we've got this double earth energy of Venus and traveling through the realm of Virgo. All this energy is being added to this elixir that will be released between the eclipses. And it's gonna be a really dramatic time. And here we're looking back at what Venus is up to. So what we have here, it's not a grand square quite. So we've got two oppositions going on from Venus. One, as we already discussed, to our friend Neptune, and the other to Saturn. So the dreamer and the architect swimming there in with the fishes of Pisces, going this way and that way, trying to figure things out, coming together with Venus in Virgo, bringing big goddess energy to the table. So those are the oppositions, but what we have here are two T-squares at which Venus is on one side of the T-squares. The first T-square, we have This is where Ceres comes in. Ceres is a dwarf planet and she is goddess energy. She is Demeter. She is the Virgo energy. And many astrologers, whether it's true sidereal or not, since she emerged, said, hey, this is really connected to Virgo in a big way because she's managing that whole asteroid belt as the Great Mother. She is a full-on dwarf planet and she sparkles on her own. There's some really cool things. This is why merging astronomy with astrology is so beautiful and so expansive for our understanding of the physical universe while we understand the dynamics of the divine and spiritual universe at the same time. And we are doing that with Mars doing the T square in Gemini. Now, Gemini, everybody thinks about thought, but what else is there? Strategy and curiosity. So, as we approach what's happening here, what I see after studying these stars and studying the energy, I see Mars connected with the Great Mother as the defender of women because he is at 2 degrees and she's at 1 degrees. So he's leading her into Gemini and saying, hey, what are we doing here? We're defending women. And that's why there's this square to Venus saying, hey, women verbally, because you're connected to some other things that I'm not directly connected to, because Venus is sextile Mercury. And so then at 1 degree, we also have her. I mean, they're just like this instead of like this. So the sun and moon, they're like this. These guys, they're like this. There's just 1 degree of separation between Ceres and Mars in Gemini. And the other side of this T square is Neptune. So it's like if you can dream it up, I will do my best to defend it because I do have some access to some pretty creative power by saying, hey, let's bring the dream up and act on the dream and defend women and women's rights. Here we also have a second T square. So twice as powerful and action is required. Big time. Your action is required because personal planets are involved here. This isn't something you can just leave off to somebody else. Um, and then the other T square, we have Black Moon Lilith in smack dab in the middle at 16 degrees of Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter, who is playing some big roles here. She's not connected to them, but the only aspects Black Moon Lilith is making here is to Venus on one side and Saturn on the other, saying, hey, we need to create and make and do something. And from this place, I mean, it's Black Moon Lilith. We are in an eclipse. We can't ignore what Moon Lilith has to say because she represents the shadow of the divine feminine. You, are you picking up what I'm putting down here? There's a lot of that going on at this time. So, women's voices, both the crazy women and the not so crazy women, and you get to decide which one I am, but I consider myself a wise woman and a fire horse, born in the year of the fire horse in 1966, and this is the year of the fire horse in 2026, and I need to get my mission done. All my other fire horse friends have already built something fantastic, and I am just beginning here. So, wherever you are on your journey and wherever you're being challenged by the deep pool of chaotic creative energy that is Black Moon Lilith, she cannot be easily defined. Just like any goddess that is seen to be dark, whether it is Inanna during her trip to the underworld, or it is Kali, or whether it is the Morrigan, these are battle goddesses. These are war goddesses or Hel, goddess that rules over the underworld in Norse myth. All right, so that is coming to the forward. So it's not just the beautiful young maiden, it is the mother and it is the crone, like myself, who has lived a life of struggle, of sacrifice, of being left out of the compass of what is happening, and being able to say, hey, you know what? I am going to forge my own way and figure things out. But I do have help because I am not alone in this. I might be alone or cast out of a community. I might be treated less than when in fact I am greater than. And calling on especially Saturn to add some structure out of this spiritual depth and milieu and what is being revealed, because this is a release the kraken type of moment, okay, people? And finally, when things get too chaotic with all of that you see is what's going on, we are going to show you, if we're just using the visible sky from our naked eyes the way our ancient ancestors did, although they could feel and understand in a more magical way and maybe in a visionary way that there were other things out in the universe that are teaching us about ourselves, here are the most direct, visible, and accessible energies, the opposition of Venus to Saturn, the trines from Saturn to Sun and Moon for the eclipse, and to Jupiter, the square between Venus and Mars, and the creative force of sextiles between Venus and Jupiter and Mercury in Cancer. Now, in this one, I did sort of pull up some things that are not seen. Now, the thing is, with the nodes, these lunar nodes, they represent the eclipse point. And so they're considered shadow planets, and we treat them with that much respect and energy as a full planet. The other thing you can see on the eastern horizon, I also added the Arabic part of spirit, as above, so below. And that also is at 33 degrees of Virgo. This is the Virgo mastery moment in time of perfecting what needs to be perfected, of improving what needs to be improved, of embracing the power of Mother Earth through all 12 houses and all 13 signs. Because Ophiuchus, down there in the third house in the North American arena, you can also count the houses from the moon, because that is how we on Mother Earth feel and experience what is happening around us. So that would make that Ophiuchus and the galactic center at the very end of this moon's one, two, three, fourth house. Stability. Stability from this great spiritual healer, this great spiritual guide. And so that is the easy button. That is when everything seems like too much. You can always return to this. And yes, you can take a screenshot of this. Just please don't take off my little copyright here, because I do take care and I do put a lot of work into making these things look pretty for you. Um, but and that way you can send people to my channel here on YouTube. Now, what's in it for you in particular? Well, we could go, we're going to use rising sign and we're going to use moon sign. So if you don't know what time you were born, you're not necessarily going to know your rising sign. But your moon sign is your moon sign. Doesn't matter what time you were born, okay? Planets, when they show up in your chart, those are the signs they're in, no matter what the time is, except for, well, maybe moon. maybe moon or something if it's right on the cusp. Just blend it, okay? If it's right on the edge, and that's why I do whole sign houses, because then we don't have a separate house cusp and a separate constellation cusp. We just deal with things as they are, right? So I'm going to grab the cards and I'm going to show them to you here. But like I said, there's going to be for each sign, it's going to be right up here. I'm just going to pull this up because I don't want to be waving a card the whole time. All right. So if you have Aquarius rising or moon in Aquarius, the card that the tarot want you to take a look at is Seven of Cups. So the Seven of Cups is the card of the dreamer. It is water energy. You have two individuals here, and in this version of the Seven of Cups, we have one person just like all sparkly and looking at that castle tree in the sky, floating there in the sky. And she's like, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do that. And I think it's going to be really great. And we have somebody else looking down at a piece of paper saying that's not realistic. So we have Seven of Cups. Seven is a magic number. It is a number of initiation, of graduation, of coming together with others and discovering who you really are. And with this being in Aquarius, which is actually an air sign, in case you didn't know that, that means it is bringing in the energies of ideas of what do we want to do. So we are connecting to Rahu, our Dharma, collectively with this. So whatever seed you want to plant, it is up to you. Just so you know that it is going to take a little bit of magic and a little bit of luck to get you there. But seven is always a lucky number. So that is for rising because that is what you're becoming. Now, for if you have Aquarius moon, you're going to really start in Aquarius moon is really going to start feeling and that creative force start welling up and saying, I need to create something that is going to really fire me up and make me expand my horizons. And I'm willing to do something that is so out of the box. My heart tells me I can do it, so I'm going to do it. And my heart is connected to Mother Earth. Remember, we have that electromagnetic field. The moon is your heart. Your physical heart is related to the electromagnetic field of Mother Earth. So it is everything coming together for you here now. That seed that's being planted is one of big ideas, and you might have to go through a few iterations and play with things in your mind before you land on what really works for you. Okay. So we're going to move on to our next card. So, our next card pulling here, we have Seven of Swords. So Aquarius got Seven of Cups. This is the Seven of Swords. And this is for the sign of Pisces. So Pisceans, you are a water sign and you're getting an air card. And Aquarius is an air sign and it got a water card, a seven. Now, as you can see here, some of this has to do with the shadows that are coming out for you. This Seven of Swords is revealing what is in shadow, which has been hidden. What face are you going to stay down at the bottom there and hide your face? Or are you going to release that energy and rise up and go with the swan and go into the light? Or are you going to stay in shadow? This is your quest point. This is where you need to understand, how am I going to initiate what comes next using my mind, but associating with water? And remember, if you watch the rest of, go back and rewatch that area, talking about all the connections that are in Pisces with Neptune there, with Saturn there, and with Vesta there, those are all being activated here. So you're in a sign that is very activated. So with that as a rising sign, this is really, oh my gosh, you have choices and you have luck on your side. And there's a sense that this is going to take you places unknown. There's something unknown about this. I'm getting that from spirit right now. That's why you might wanna just say in your blanket fort, but this big seed that's being planted, it is going to burst open at some point. So you might as well get ahead of the game and you can help that seed grow. Now, speaking of the seeds, let's look at those Pisces moons where you are in your watery element, but you're being burned up there by the sun, and but you're helping bring out the shadow, bring out those intellectual things, because the swords are your thoughts, your decisions, your struggles, your mental playground. And here you are saying, I am going to be commanding something here. I am definitely going to be doing that. And he's wearing this big crow mask and saying, okay, I am going to go deep into my dark place in order to bring things up, because there is something beautiful. There is a gem that is hidden underneath that coal. There is a diamond waiting to be revealed. And it is up to you and how you want to use your mind and how you want to strategize as somebody who is off on an adventure. So, Seven of Swords, Pisces, plant your seed. Okay, so next we have Aries. Okay, so now we have a fire sign. Now, Aries didn't get mentioned at all. There are no planets in Aries right now, so nothing, at least nothing that's been activated. But you know what we got? We've got the star. This is number 17 of the major arcana. Aries, this is you balancing the spiritual and connecting with your true star. This, as a rising sign, is gorgeous. It's beautiful. It is that star energy for Aries saying, hey, I have my rising sign going on. And as you can see up here, also, once we get that energy going, this is a major life breakthrough of your intuition is coming on board. That is going to be guiding you forward. Number 17, 1 plus 7 equals 8. And that is true power, power from within, power from spirit, power from listening. And I love this illustration here. And I love this for you, Aries, because you like to take action. You like to be the one who shows up first, and you're showing up from spirit. So, an Aries moon, oh my gosh, this is intuition from the heart level. Your heart mind coherence is going to bring into being who you were meant to be. And this is your opportunity to step into that liminal space of earth and spirit at the same time. You might be called to be a shaman, you might be called to be a channeler, you might just be called to be somebody who holds that within herself, himself, that can help create that space for others. And that is no less important, because your intuition will guide you to the people you need to connect to. You might be the hub, just as she is surrounded by these fish flying through the air above water while she seeks and reaches up and brings in that star energy. Well, I should have done it with this hand because this is going to be all covered. The other hand's going to brings in that star energy. So that moon heart is going to express itself with the stars. And what is the biggest star we have right now? That is the sun in Leo. So you're going to be tapping into both of those on a deeply intuitive level, and your fourth chakra could burst open. Be prepared. Ground yourself in water, in spirit, as the star steps both on water and land in order to move forward. You need to stay grounded, and you need to stay fluid and willing to shift and change with what spirit is telling you right now. Okay. Next, we have, after Aries, we have the beautiful sign of Taurus. So Taurus rising and Taurus moon, we have for you 10 of Cups. Oh, this is the fulfillment moment for you. And you're going to feel it on such a beautiful emotional level. So, this is helping to activate all the things that are happening with all the earth energies. Also, the water energies for star peeps and the water energy if this is your moon in Taurus like me. So I'm super excited to be having this as my moon in Taurus moment with it is fulfillment. It is delight. It is family. It is bringing the whole school of fishies along with you. All of that is happening. So is the end of one thing and beginning of another. It is the self and the soul. It is the self and the spirit all together, just like the sun and moon in Leo. Hello. Taurus is grounding things. Taurus, and right now, Taurus is getting the crazy ass messages of the mover and shaker of changing society and changing the world. Now, for all of you Gemini rising and Gemini moon, oh, and you've got a lot going on in Gemini with Mars and Ceres there right now, too. So, God and Goddess energy. What we have for you is the Eight of Cups. This is bringing you into the depth of being and understanding there is more if you dive deep. Your power this month, both rising and moon sign, is diving deep to what you need to do to feel fulfilled, both on this world and in the world to come. Because 8 is the number of unity and power and being willing to go into that darkness, not as somebody who is afraid of the shadow, but as one who seeks depth and wants to create from a deeper place. This is really creative for you here in Gemini, and you've got both masculine and feminine together there. Very active masculine and very nurturing feminine in Gemini. And all the new beginnings, and let your curiosity be your guide as you dive deeper and deeper and deeper and find your true power and your creativity, because Gemini is a creative sign. It brings things into being and it makes things appear which before were invisible. I don't know where that came from, but that's why I'm doing these readings, because you get a direct line to my spiritual peeps and my intuition as well. Okay, so next, after Gemini, we have we have Cancer, who is holding one edge of, whether it's you call it Barbo's basket or the cauldron of Caradwen. Well, we have the Six of Cups for you. And I'm putting that illustration up here because there's so much detail to this illustration as I look to it. Oh my gosh, we've got the cups, therefore we've got the goldfish, and it's very magical in the forest there, because we have this young person with ribbons in her hair, this young girl pouring tea out to her friends, her stuffed animals, and guess what? The Fae, the sprites, they're coming to partake of that as well. Six of Cups is very much connecting to your imagination. And with this happening for you as a Cancer, and going back to that sense of childhood and childhood memories and having access to Jupiter to help expand and bring greater optimism to that, as well as Mercury to be able to communicate that to others from a heart level. It is playful, it is joyful, and don't be surprised if some people from your past show up because those are part of your original soul tribe or were in the past. You have to decide. Maybe they're showing up to say goodbye. Maybe they're showing up so you can say, hey, this is the path I'm on now. Have you explored True Sidereal Astrology? If not, you can tell them and point them to my link below and connect by downloading my Unlock the New Zodiac. And much will be revealed as we move forward. But in the meantime, you get to play and get down and be in nature and have the wonder of a child. So after Cancer, of course, we have Leo. This is Leo rising, Leo sun, I mean, Leo moon, because we currently have the sun in Leo, the moon in Leo as a new moon. Now, pay attention to if you have your moon in Leo, what phase is it in? And how is that relating to this new moon phase for this eclipse? And we have the Page of Swords. Swords, again, they have to do with intellect and problem solving, but the page is a poet. The page is learning to use words in ways of creativity, is curious about how things work when it comes to communication, is learning how to be diplomatic even during times of trouble. And like I said, I'm putting it up here just for clarity so you can get a good view of everything. And all of this is coming into being right now, right here for you in such a powerful way as a rising sign with Leo. That means that sun energy has joined your personal rising constellation to shine a light on what it is that you are drawing to yourself as you explore and learn through your mind and become curious of what comes next for you, how your sovereignty is showing up. What are the shadows? Because swords have to do with issues and problems as well. It's both, it's all. And the goddess is with you and she is here for you. So also the God is with you, or the divine, or the great spirit, or I don't know, the mathematical frequencies that you tune into. Whatever is your higher power, it's showing up for you powerfully during this lunation, which is not just from this new moon to the next. No, 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 no. This is going to be from this new moon to the new moon in February when we really complete this whole cycle of an eclipse. These are the hinge points, the change times in life. And for the moon in Leo, you are there, you are alive, you are present, you are feeling it through your heart. And this page is like, okay, this is about heart level creativity. This is about unlocking that potential. This is about unlocking your ability to view and see and be the person who starts to access your intellect, and your curiosity brings you to the messengers out there. So watch for the messengers because pages are the ones who are learning to become knights. Next, our friends in Virgo. The only planet, remember, in Virgo right now is Venus. And what do we have for Virgo rising and Virgo moon? We have the 10 of Swords. Now, if you watched everything from before, you know, if you saw all the things that Venus is up to, she has a lot on her plate. 10 of Swords is like, this is the final break for everything that I am doing, especially those rising signs, that Virgo rising, that sense of I am leaning into my responsibility like never before. When is it going to end? Well, this is when it's going to end. This is when things are going to change for you. 10 is the end of an old cycle and the beginning of a new one, all right? And then for Virgo moons, this is going to be some heart purging things going on for you. It is going to be your time to have a good long cry and let go of what needs letting go, because this is definitely the end of a powerful cycle for you, especially what your intentions were and how things went with what you've been working on. Just remember that Virgo moons, you have such big hearts because you are in the largest constellation on the ecliptic, and you can connect to Mother Earth to get the healing you need and just let go. This is your time to release what you think are your responsibilities, what you have been told are your responsibilities, and saying, we're done here. I'm starting new. I'm going to take my Virgo heart, my moon, and I am going to connect it to all the other aspects that my friend Venus, who's teaching me about love and beauty right now, because she is visiting the sign of my moon heart, and she is going to be teaching me what my true values are. So she's going to help you start over. Look to Venus. Next, we have Libra, Libra rising and Libra moon. Here on this eclipse, we have the King of Cups. I so love this illustration of this merman holding a cup, and he has this beautiful hair creating this diadem around him. He is gorgeous. I would definitely love to meet a King of Cups like that at some point. But anyway, this is all about Libra rising. And for you, you are learning how to really embrace the healing part of what's happening here, because the King of Cups is very much like the wounded healer. I see him sort of as a little bit of that Ophiuchus energy shining through. Um, he's the Fisher King in the ancient stories of the King Arthur and the Knights of the Table and their search for the Holy Grail. This is the one who holds that grail that can heal the kingdom. And with you, Libra, having that as a rising sign. Now, Libras are all about bringing harmony together. Harmony goddess astrology, yeah, I have some pretty strong Libra placements. But it is about beauty. It is about connecting the worlds above with the worlds below, because what that symbol represents is that sunset, and saying, hey, we are going to go into the underworld and discover what needs to be seen and what messages the underworld has for this. So I'm seeing that as a psychopomp energy, and whether you're coming at it through the stars of Libra as an ascendant sign, being that was on the eastern horizon of where you're born, or where you're coming in from the moon, that heart energy, saying, hey, my intuition and my emotional body is being immersed in this eclipse moment, and I am going to help people find their calm space and their healing. And for those who are on the quest, you're the one who is going to show up with the sovereignty needed, the sovereignty of the soul. Okay? So next, after Libra, I love these cards for you guys. I love these cards. After Libra, we have Scorpio. Oh my gosh. We had the 10 of Swords for Virgo, but for Scorpio, we have the Nine of Pentacles. And this is glorious because Scorpio, you have depth, you have understanding as a rising sign. You know the magic and the medicine, right? And this is about the beautiful fulfillment. And the Nine of Pentacles is the divine level of fulfillment here on Mother Earth. And so this is more of a I can manifest this with my star power because what is a pentacle but a star? And Scorpio, you have that energy. This is you being very attractive to others as well. People are going to be drawn to you the way they would be drawn to a mysterious, magical sound of an unearthly piano being played by a magical fairy woman in the deep wood. So there are people looking for depth who are going to be drawn to you and bringing in that grounded energy. And for you moons in Scorpio, you are going to be connected to the other side in a beautiful way that you can bring into your everyday and add that to your assets, your physical real world assets. Something really physical is happening for the anybody with a moon in Scorpio with this Nine of Pentacles. I'm so excited for you. Yes, I am. And of course, this is 13 sign astrology. So I'm pulling 13 cards. We are including Ophiuchus, and he's got the Six of Swords. All right, so for Ophiuchus rising and Ophiuchus moon, this is a time where you can rest and know that you will be carried forward with where you need to go. This is you traveling to a new and better place. All those concerns and worries of the past, well, they have been dealt with. They will come with you because you still need the lessons and you need to examine them, but they are no longer ruling over you. You are rising above and moving forward and getting guidance from spirit. As a rising sign, you signed up to be a part of Ophiuchus in this lifetime and discover what Ophiuchus is and to become that Ophiuchus energy here on Mother Earth. And for Ophiuchus moons, you are embodying that energy in your heart level, and your intuition is telling you this is the time to rest. Don't let all the ideas and the mind stuff get in the way of being who you can be. Sagittarius moon, Sagittarius rising. You have the wonderful Knight of Cups. And the Knight of Cups is a romantic figure. It is all about bringing in creativity and messages of your creative path, Sagittarius. This is really tapping into that creativity as you become that archetype of the Sagittarius. That is your birth partner in the eastern sky when you were born, and you can bring that into being as a Sagittarius rising, and there is flow for that, and messages will flow. And if you've been trying to create something bigger, whether it's a dissertation or a poem or a song, this is your time to tap into those messages that Spirit is bringing during this new moon. This big seed that you're planting is one of deep creativity and taking action on it. And then when we come to the Sagittarius moons, this is you finding your heart song and sharing it with others, of being that Knight of Cups, being that romantic one, not the love bomber, but the one who comes with true heartfelt words of romantics and being willing to travel and explore. And for both the moon and the rising sign, think about spending some time with a loved one near water or discovering someone new by traveling either by water, near water, through water. It's all about water and cups for you. As a fire sign, sometimes you really just have to dive into it and just explore. And I love this illustration by Stephanie Pui-Mun of the Knight of Cups and that beautiful cup that is rising up almost like the sun in Leo, taking sovereignty to a more action oriented level and planting a seed of creative fulfillment of a higher level of being able to speak and guide and messages from spirit as well, because Sagittarius is that messenger and it's all about optimism. Now, you're going to feel a big shift in the energy when your ruling planet, Jupiter, lets go of the Cauldron of Caradwin, also known as Barabau's basket, next around the 21st, 22nd. That shift is going to be dramatic. But that is part of the message that is happening now for you. So pay attention to what comes up at that time as well. In 13 sign astrology, we pull 13 cards. We already went through Ophiuchus. We are going to be finishing with Capricorn. And this is the Four of Pentacles. And we have the dragon, and he's holding tightly to his little hoard of pentacles. And this is the time for Capricorns to, okay, we are going to take stock of what we have. We're going to make sure that what we have is in its correct place. And for Capricorn rising, this is the sign that depending on where it is on the horizon, if it's near Pluto right now, you're really taking some serious stock, and maybe this is the time for you to purge some things to make sure that you know what ducks you have and what row they're actually in, and also clearing space to make sure that you have the security you need going forward. Now, if it is more on the fishy tail side, well, then there's a little bit more flow of maybe when something's going out, you can bring something in at the same time. And it has a little bit more of that creative flair to it. Same with the moon in Capricorn. Wow, what a magical moon to have. And 4 is always about stability. It's about strength. It is about holding that space, that creating that worth, that self-worth that you learn about from Venus, now who is doing a lot with some earth energy right now. And she is connecting to you here as well through a trine, I believe. I'm pretty sure. But anyway, so take a look at Venus, because pentacles are those 5-pointed stars, and that's what Venus creates. So for both of you, paying attention to what Venus is doing in Virgo right now and what Pluto is doing in your sign of Capricorn, and what are the touch points for that will help guide you into your greatest strength. Okay? Build your house of dragons. Just saying. As we look at this eclipse season and the whole month, it is a big time of rapid fire change, and on the world stage, but also in your personal life. And what I want to tell you is turn off the haters. Send them away with whatever energy you have and guard your peace. Because in order for you to plant this really incredibly magical seed that's being formed in Leo, you need to be able to give it a safe place to grow. And to do that, you need to guard your heart, guard your mind, guard your body, guard your spirit, and don't let the muggles get you down. And with that, I am going to say stay shiny, stay magical. Meet me in Zodiac Club 13 if you so will. Otherwise, just download, unlock the new Zodiac. But we still have to deal with eclipse season, and this is the beginning. All right, my shiny friends, blessed be, namaste, and all that jazz. And I will see you over in this video so you can get a preview of what's to come for the rest of August. Blessed be.